won't let you take me from my wall!
Hey, that's pretty good.
Your time is up!
Oh, no, no, no. No, 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 no.
Ass! Sit. Saiyan. Remember it.
Weird, buddy. You're weird.
Fuck. KO!
And I've got to say, in all honesty, it's the biggest piece of dog shit that I have ever heard. Everyone's laughing, by the way, but it's true because everybody's heard it too. Everyone heard it, right? They look at all. Everyone's like, "Yeah, big piece of dog shit."
And they're back at it again. This shit just never gets old. What's up, my Gummy Knights, and welcome back to the Echo Chamber. Now, I don't even know what to say to this death battle, if you really want to call it that, in regards to what I was expecting. I was expecting them to be unfair. I was expecting them to lie about the opponents. I was expecting them to be intellectually dishonest. I was expecting them to downplay one character because they have this unique bias towards not only this character, but the entirety of the franchise. They hate the fact that they're so strong. They hate the fact that they beat most of the verses that they care about. And they hate the fact that every single solitary time somebody brings them up to put them in a fight with somebody, they feel in their deepest heart that they know that person is going to lose, but they just can't help but try to sit there and come up with some convoluted way that they would win. What you have here is a prime example of the purest definition of cope. The only thing that makes this cope a lot better than normal cope is the fact that they have a budget to put behind their cope. If they didn't have a bunch of fans who will sit there and prostrate themselves before these glory hog idiots, they would never be able to get off the ground with this amount of low effort and research that they put forward to try to sit there and tell you to your face that the person you know wins based on a simple blanketed analysis is going to sit here and lose just because of their bias. Now, everyone has a bias, and I get that. I have a bias towards certain things. Everyone does. I think that, for instance, gummy bears are the greatest candy in the world. That is what's going on here. They have a bias against Dragon Ball. If you couldn't tell by now, we are talking about the death battle of Bardock versus Omni-Man, the most easiest slam dunk in the favor of you trying your damnedest to get all of the quote-unquote coping Dragon Ball fanboys off your back. You had a slam dunk. Everyone and their mom. When you even look at the comment section of the death battle on this one, even the audience who's normally biased against every Dragon Ball character who stands with them had two brain cells that they rubbed together and finally realized that, okay, maybe death battle has a bit of a problem. Like, this was an obvious slam dunk in Bardock's favor. There was no way he was going to lose. These retards had the audacity to use the Super Saiyan era and then tie it in with the quote-unquote Time Breakers era of Bardock. That's right, Time Breaker Bardock. They had the audacity to sit there and tie that in and then pretended as though we weren't going to notice when they said some blatantly dishonest facts about the situation. Like the fact that Bardock, quote-unquote, doesn't have control over not only Great Ape. They had the audacity to say that while then showing us a scene that he has control over Great Ape. How humiliating was that for you? Like, how could you sit there and autistically put that forward towards the idea that he has no control over this form, then show that he has control over the form? Doesn't make any sense. They tried to sit there and shove it off as though, oh, this was just a momentary thing. No! Absolutely not. Keep in mind, he has such great control that he even de-transforms. Like, to show that he had control over the process to be able to de-transform back into a man. But that's all besides the point. They didn't want to try to add Super Saiyan onto the mix. You have to be effing kidding me. And then say he did not master it. Keep in mind, Bardock, the game that they will be using from the Xenoverse timeline, from the Heroes timeline, the Time Breakers Bardock, Maz Bardock, has Super Saiyan 3, and he has control over all the stages of Super Saiyan leading up into Super Saiyan 3. I don't even want to sit there and get into the power scaling of utilizing that Bardock, considering some of the feats that he's able to show off in comparison to people like Xeno Goku or CC Goku. I don't want to sit there and do that, because that's going to make it even harder. You're talking about a Bardock who, at bare minimum, even by DeathBattle standards, would be at least universal. Please give me Omni-Man's universal feats. Please, I'm begging you. They even had to wank his planetary feat to be small star level, and it still wouldn't make him be able to beat that version of Bardock. That's besides the point, of course. I am simply saying that they had a slam dunk and a chance, but had the audacity to say something so blatantly, obviously false. I won't even use Game Bardock's feats, but for crying out loud, you gave him Super Saiyan. That makes this all the more worse. They want to sit there and go like, oh yeah, by the way, Vegeta triple planet bus. So then that would automatically make him stronger than anything Omni-Man's ever been able to perform. That would automatically showcase the idea that you're absolutely wrong and that Bardock should take this, especially when they openly admit towards the idea that Bardock is either equal to King Vegeta in terms of his stats or just blatantly greater. This is something that is in line with the guidebooks. This is something that is in line with the material shown to us via any material that is covering Bardock in terms of his scale and power level, that he is pretty much at that King Vegeta level, if not surpassing it. So it doesn't really matter how you want to splice Omni-Man's quote-unquote feat of him needing two other people to help destroy an already dying planet. But then they try to put the caveat on top. They try to say, well, that planet is 14 times bigger than Earth. Okay, so Earth in the Invincible universe is the size of Earth in our real world. The Earth in the Dragon Ball universe, which is considered a small planet by most other species, this would be including Saiyans and also Frost Demons or Frieza's Dem's race, potentially dozens to hundreds of times larger than our own real Earth. So that's the scale we're talking about here. Let's assume that the planet that Vegeta destroyed, King Vegeta that is, let's assume that the 3 planets that he destroyed were all the size of Earth in Dragon Ball. They would still be hundreds or dozens to hundreds of times greater than the size of even Viltrum. So even if you want to sit there and try to acknowledge the fact that Omni-Man made up 1/3 of the energy needed to destroy the planet of Viltrum outright, which by the way, again, is wank, because if you actually read the scans, not only were Omni-Man and Mark specifically told that if they did not hit it at a right angle and that they did not attack the core of the planet, essentially fly straight through the planet, they would have died on impact. They do not have the energy necessary to actually be able to perform a planetary level feat. Now, you can argue that Mark and stuff get stronger later, but this is pretty much the highest tier that we'll see Omni-Man get in terms of his overall strength and power. This is his greatest feat, and it took 3 of them to be able to hit it at the right angle and attack directly against the core of the planet, otherwise they would have died. But here's Vegeta triple planet busting with no caveat whatsoever, and Bardock is equal if not stronger to him, and then you stack on a 50 times multiplier boost of that, and you still want to have the audacity to sit there and say that he would lose? He would lose, even if, like I said, even if you want to say that all those planets are relative to the size of Earth, it doesn't actually matter because the Earth in Dragon Ball is dozens to potentially hundreds of times bigger than our own Earth. That's absolutely absurd and ridiculous for you to sit there and try to come at this with the idea that Omni-Man has any dream of winning. He doesn't. And again, the planet itself of Viltrum wasn't even really that size because it was already shrinking and destabilizing because it was already coming apart. So a planet that's essentially already exploding away, it's already going away, it's not entirely intact, is somehow the equivalent of Bardock. In terms of him scaling to King Vegeta. This is brilliant. Brilliant. Like, I didn't even need to do a super in-depth. This video is not even going to really be longer than 10 minutes because I did not need to do a super in-depth analysis in regards to this debunk. It's absolutely pathetic how much hatred that Wiz and Boomstick have developed for Dragon Ball over the time that they've been quote-unquote scaling it. It's absurd. Again, I hate to do this. I hate to be repetitive on this point and say it ad nauseum, but you had a slam dunk, a fucking Michael Jordan layup in the palm of your hands. And you guys couldn't even do that because you're just mad. Because when you really tried to break down the level of characters in Dragon Ball who just outright solo your favorite series, you couldn't help it. You couldn't help but let your bias. They want to sit there and have the audacity to say in video that we only give you the cold hard facts. We only give you the cold hard truth. It doesn't matter what reference they were making in regards to that point. The idea is that they're going to extend that to the entirety of this video, that it's only cold hard facts and cold hard truth, and they have the numbers. They know the numbers. They're the ones who are putting them out there. They don't. They have no idea. Otherwise, they wouldn't have even made this video in the first place if you knew at the end of the day you were going to hate it so much and you were going to reach a conclusion that you knew you could not possibly have reached on your own without any reasonable empirical data and evidence to back up said assertion and claim. They don't have any. It's this level of bad faith argumentation that has made the scaling community look like an entire joke. Like I said, I didn't want to sit here and put this even over 10 minutes because it's just that bad and that obvious who wins this matchup. Bardock doesn't even need. I love how they just skip over Gas too. They're just like, oh, well, he hasn't really shown any feats. Bardock doesn't really have anything. Him fighting Gas. And they tried to dismiss it. They tried to hand wave it away. Like, are you serious? Gas by this point, if you want to sit here and just do the most basic level of scaling, Gas by this point is stronger than any Saiyan around, barring the few exceptions that we know of. But King Vegeta, for the most part, as seen, is the highest tier of the bracket that's Saiyans. Bardock is comparable to him. Again, barring any exceptions that we already know of. I want to make that very clear. King Vegeta and Bardock are the strongest Saiyans, and Gas is more powerful than them. So, in other words, Gas also scales above King Vegeta, who is able to triple planet bust, and Bardock defeats him, not using Super Saiyan, not using Great Ape. Now, we don't know exactly the multiplier of his so-called enlightenment form or his Saiyan determination form. We don't know what that is. You could even call it like a false Super Saiyan form. We don't know. But if you want to say that the time boost is from either 2 times to potentially even 50 times, it doesn't matter. That's Bardock when he's literally beaten down, has nothing left, and is relying on this amplification. And it still puts him over Omni-Man and anything that Omni-Man can do. It's just absolutely pathetic that they really want to try to sit here. At least they got the speed right. I mean, for the most part, you know, a few numbers here and there, but at least they got it right for the most part because they couldn't even deny that. They knew that they couldn't deny that one. Tried to sit there and be like, oh no, but the strength is questionable, durability is questionable. No, it's not. It's still Bardock. But they couldn't deny the speed. They were like, damn, you know what? That's fair. But that's the end of this video, guys. Like I said, it's obviously just pathetic at this point. But I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace. To all my Gummy Knights, new and old, just remember, this is a man's world, but it would be nothing without his brain and his bronze. And lying is indeed the most fun that a woman can have without taking off her clothes. Good night.
ーパー CC 超反法人名前も知らないお玉にまたがり4000年のモンスターかき混ぜてたちまち仕上がり不思議な